if somebody asks what our easiest to install product is, it's the Shield. You literally just have to peel, stick it, plug it in, and you're secure. In terms of like bang for your buck as well, you're going to get a lot of security for, 25 bucks a month for professional monitoring is a good deal. I mean, for what it brings.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches Roundtable. And today we're going to be covering SCW's very own alarm system, SCW Shield. Of course, we've got our great panel of experts here. Super excited to jump into this one. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to break down this video to a couple different sections. First, we're going to talk about what even is SCW Shield. Then we're going to spend some time going through who exactly this product is for. We'll cover some of the professional monitoring aspects. We'll do a deep dive into the sensors. And then finally, we're going to get the panel's thoughts on SCW Shield as a whole. So without further ado, we're going to start off by talking about what SCW Shield even is. Michael, can you help fill us in?
Yeah, definitely. So Shield is our DIY alarm system that's great. I mean, you order it with a hub, and then you can pretty much control the entire thing from your app on your phone. It's great. You can have up to 50 users. It's very simple, very simple.
Awesome. And so, James, before we go any further, can you help us and maybe give us a brief description of what an alarm system is?
Yeah, absolutely. So an alarm system uses a series of sensors. It could be a door sensor that detects if your door is open or closed, a window sensor, which detects if your window is closed. We got motion sensors, and all of these sensors feed information to your alarm system to let you know, is somebody opening a door when they should not be, or are they opening a window when they shouldn't be? So alarm systems are typically armed and disarmed, depending on the time. So when you leave your home, you typically arm it, so that way if anybody comes in, and they're typically paired with some form of professional monitoring, so that you will get a call from a professional monitoring station that allows you to check, are you okay, but then also issue another potential step like calling the police or something like that. So that's an alarm system sort of in a nutshell. It's a proactive way of helping protect your home or small business in the case of the Shield.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So I feel more comfortable knowing what an alarm system is. Matt, can you help us out on how do we install an alarm
Sure.
system like
All
this
right.
one?
So if you get a professional installed alarm system, what is the technician really doing? They're usually pairing the sensor with the box. So you got this hub. It's kind of like the brain on it. It's where the rules engine is of if this happens, then do this. And then you've got your little sensors. They might be a door sensor, a window sensor. When you get an SCW Shield alarm system, all of that happens before we ship it to you. So it's the easiest install in the world. All you're usually doing is peeling off some sticky tape, putting that door sensor onto the door. So part of it goes onto the frame, part of it goes onto the part of the door that moves, and it's basically just a magnet. So it tells you when they're basically in range and touching. Same thing for a window. They're incredibly easy. The install is, 1% of the work of installing a wired security camera system. It is just incredibly easy. And the really big hard thing that is typically hard on a professional install, we do for you before it even leaves the warehouse. So it is just fundamentally easy.
So one of the best parts about the SCW Shield system, I think, is that it's really modern. It's smartphone native. So of course we've got a pin pad with it where you can enter in your pin. We actually have a touch panel there as well where you can enter in your pin and see the status and stuff. But you can actually just pull up your phone and arm your system from anywhere. So let's just say I go to work and I realize I didn't arm my system. Do I have to go home and arm it? Am I going to, have to scramble during my lunch break? No, I can just grab my phone, open up my app, and arm it from wherever I am. If I'm on vacation, I forget to do it. I can do it. So that's one of the best parts I think about the SCW Shield.
Yeah, and that is one thing I'd like to add on. With the Shield Hub, you can actually do a self-monitored option, and then you can also have the professional monitored. So, if you choose the self-monitoring, you're responsible for monitoring your own system. Professional monitoring, they will, contact the authorities if needed.
Great. I think that's actually a perfect segue too into the next section, which is who is SCW Shield for? And Michael, I'd love to get your input here on, who would you primarily say SCW Shield is designed for?
Definitely. So I would say, well, even now with the system being live for a couple of years, mostly residential. We do have some commercial, like small businesses that have our system. If you, within line of sight, the sensors can reach up to, I believe it's 1,500 feet.
Yep.
So, that's a very good distance, but once you put, walls in the way or doorways, or, you start going through your house or your business, there are going to be things that can shorten that distance quite a bit, because this is a wireless signal. Just think about where you get Wi-Fi in your house from your router. It's going to be very similar to that. So having this as an option is great for your home, for your small business. Bigger than that, I'd kind of probably start, steering away from it, just because, you get more heavy machinery and stuff like that that can block a wireless signal, making that sensor unreliable. So it could go off for any reason, or it could lose connection for any reason, and then something happen.
Right.
I would also say that, building upon that, there's another element of it really fitting well for those sort of things, is that those sort of things typically close. And an alarm system doesn't work very well for properties that don't close.
And the last thing I'll add on to that too is just, the flip side of a commercial alarm is they're typically wired because of that, the square footage more than anything, it's
Exactly.
like, it's you can be a really big business and have a small footprint, and maybe this would work for you in terms of what you do, but it's all about the footprint when it comes to this. So wired sensors exist, wired commercial grade systems that also interact with, some of your other systems in the building also exist. So yeah, that's kind of the last thing I want to put in.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I think we should move on to section number 3. We're going to cover now professional monitoring. We've used this term a couple of times. I just want to, start by defining what professional monitoring is, and we can kind of open this up to everybody.
Sure, I'll take that. So professional monitoring, you have an intrusion. Somebody has opened the window when you're not there. You've armed your system, somebody's opened that window, and the alarm system goes off. So when the alarm system goes off, the professional monitoring gets a notification. The professional monitoring service is going to get a notification. They're going to give you a call, and you have to provide a passcode to it to make sure they're reaching the right person and everything like that. And they're going to say, "Hey, your window's open. Are you okay? Are you there?" And you're going to be at work after you armed your system, and you're going to say, "Wait, I'm at work. Nobody should be opening up my windows." And from there, they're going to go, "Okay, let's dispatch the police," and they're going to be able to dispatch the police for you, keep you on the line, make sure things are okay, everything like that. And so that's professional monitoring. It's the ability for them to get that alert, react to that alert, and make sure that whatever services need to be dispatched are going to be dispatched to you.
Gotcha. And so who exactly, you mentioned somebody gets called. Who exactly gets called?
So that's set up by the user. Whenever you choose professional monitoring, the system will send you an email saying, "Hey, go here, sign in, create your call list." And then that's also where you input all of your information, such as your physical address of where the hub is located and things like that. And all of that needs to be incredibly accurate for the professional monitoring to make sure that they're contacting the right people. I've had a couple instances, which I can go into later if you want me to. But so you put in your call tree. So, hey, Michael's number 1. It's my system. Call me first. James lives next door. He's able to look out his window. Okay, call James next. If neither one of us answer, contact the authorities. And there's, a few different ways it'll work. Just to verify the person is what they're going to do first. Hey, are you there? Are you okay? Yes, no, whatever the case may be. If it's anything like a door, window sensor, glass break sensor, your garage door tilt sensor, something like that, if nobody answers, the monitoring company is going to call the police, and they're going to send the cops out to your location, verify everything's okay. Hopefully everything is. That's the greatest benefit, honestly. A couple of other sensors that we have is like the carbon monoxide or the smoke detector. Those do not care if your system is armed or not. If those go off, they immediately call the fire department. Period.
I think this is a perfect place to segue into the deep dive in sensors. You know, we've been covering a lot of different sensors and talking just briefly about them and what they may or may not do. I think now is a good time to kind of jump in. First, let's start by just defining and diving into the major main type of sensors. Someone want to take that?
Sure. Oh, you want it, James? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say I would start with the door and the window, and because those are gonna be your most common. Yeah, I guess I'll take it now that I'm talking about it.
Go for it.
So the door sensors are, like we mentioned earlier on. Here's the picture of them. They are basically two pieces. One of them you mount on the door frame. The other one you mount on the actual door. And there's a small contact there that knows a magnet that knows that the door is closed or it's open. Very simple device, but it's very effective at knowing if your door is either open or closed. And so the window sensors are actually identical. So they are the same hardware, but the difference is, now let's talk about a door. When you go into your home, you arm your system when you left, and then you're coming back from work. You go and you unlock the door. And what do you want to have happen? Well, you don't want the alarm to go off immediately when you get inside your house, because what you're supposed to be able to put away your keys, your groceries, whatever else you're carrying, your bag. And so what the door sensor does, it gives you 30 seconds countdown in order to turn your alarm off, so you can, or disarm your alarm, excuse me. So that means you can disarm it via your phone. You can disarm it via the pin pad that's included. We also have a touch panel that you can disarm it with and provide your pin. And so that gives you 30 seconds to get that done. We actually can customize it. I think that we said 60 seconds is the max on that. So if you
No,
need,
the max is 240 seconds.
oh, okay,
but
wow.
The default on entry is 30 seconds.
Yep. So if you need more time, just let us know. We can customize that. So let's compare that to the window sensor, the same hardware, but typically you don't go home and say, you know what, I'm going to go through my window and open up your window and go in and slide in. You're going to go through your door. So there's no delay on a window sensor. As soon as that window is cracked open, the alarm occurs. And so that starts that chain of processes of, contacting your app if you have the app monitoring set up, or if you also have professional monitoring, setting up the professional monitoring chain of events as well. So those are the two major sensors. They're, again, like all of the sensors with the Shield, they're wireless, they're battery operated. And for these ones, again, you should have a door for everyone you have. And for Windows, you should probably do most of them. If you have a multi-story home, maybe the top ones don't need them quite as much if you're not as worried about somebody breaking in with a ladder or something like that. But
Or
definitely
if you
ones
got
that are more,
teenagers, them sneaking out at night.
yeah, that's the other
Sorry.
exactly there.
Sneaking out around here. No sneaking
Yeah.
around here. That's right. All right, so that's great. So those, you would say that covers the main groups of sensors, right? Doors, windows, motion, we talked about.
Those are your pretty much must-haves. Like the other ones might be optional, but if you're going to pay for an alarm system with monitoring, you need to. Its primary use case is intrusion, so make sure you're solving the use case.
Yeah.
The next sort of. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to tag on. James was on Windows, and he's talking about opening a window the way a window is intended to be opened to set off that particular sensor. We do also have a glass break sensor that you could place, just in case somebody did actually, break the glass.
And
Yeah, and then glass break
Go.
sensors listening for the sound of broken glass. It's going to be, you want to use it if you have a big window that somebody, a single pane of glass where somebody could fit through it, one with like metal bars in between it, you can't fit, you don't have to worry about it there. You also want to do this for like a sliding glass door, and sometimes people forget about that. That can easily also be broken, and thus people don't, move the door frame and engage the sensor, but smash the door and go through it. And this is also true of, sort of, there's some glass doors that are only part of it is door and part of it is wood. So you might want to use it for those things. The other big sort of class of sensors is motion detection sensors. These obviously detect motion. They're basically send out an infrared beam, figuring out if something crosses the beam. You got two basic classes for them. You got a residential one that helps to filter out the movement of animals. You don't want your dog setting it off. You don't want your cat setting it off. And then you've got a commercial grade one. And this is generally because commercial insurance, depending on the insurance company, will sometimes say, "Hey, you can't have this residential stuff here." The last type of sensors are sort of health safety type stuff. You got carbon monoxide in here, you've got fire, you've got smoke, you got heat, you've got a water leak sensor. And these are all designs to basically say there's damage to your property happening, or there's a life safety emergency possibly happening at your location. So those are the sort of big groups of sensors. Beyond those sensors that you can buy from us, again, like Michael said, it's also compatible with Z-Wave, which is an entire automation platform. So like Z-Wave, you could have a Z-Wave compliant thermostat that says you open the windows, well, stop air conditioning the neighborhood. If you opened the door, turn on the light on the porch. So you can buy a whole series of products. There's even like products that basically turn a crank to turn your water off. If it, that you could set an automation that says, I detected a leak, therefore shut the water off. And this is really helpful. We've had a couple of really cool customer stories where, their pipe started to burst because it was so cold and it starts to leak and it just turns the water off and saves them, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But yeah, it works with anything Z-Wave compliant. It is a standard. There's a million sensors that exist about it.
So we've been talking about these wireless sensors, and it just came to my mind. What is the battery life? There's got to be batteries in these sensors, right?
Yeah, there definitely is batteries. Each of them has a different rating, but they range anywhere between like their years on all of them, I believe. So we have ones that are up to 10 years. Some of them are 5 years. So I look at the individual sensor to give you the confirmations on the product pages of each one. But for example, the door one is rated at 6 years. So
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
and
it's not like swapping out AAA batteries or anything.
no, and even if you do have these sensors for long periods of time, of course we hope you do, but they're normal, like, what is it, CR32 button batteries?
The one that looks like a quarter.
Yeah,
yeah,
watch
they're
batteries.
they're available pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, they're not sealed. They're not something where you have to throw it away, because there are sensors that are like that where the battery's not replaceable. You just have to throw it away. These use various standard batteries that you can see again in the specs page of it that will tell you, what battery you need to get to replace it. Some of them are like the CR1632s, which are little. I'm not sure, they might be a little bit bigger than watch batteries, but basically the same as a little coin watch battery kind of thing. And then there's other ones that use different types, but they're all something you can go buy at a hardware store or probably a grocery store and get them.
One thing to remember about battery life for something like a door sensor is that every time it's opening and closing, it's sending a little piece of data. It's not a lot. It's not using a lot of power, but it is basically based on activity. So when we say something like 6 years, this is the assumption here is a certain amount of activity, something like 6-8 doors opening per day. And this means that if you do put it in a business, especially an extremely active business, that's going to be a really different number. And so remember, it is activity based. The assumptions that go into that, 6-8 door opens a day. If you get 1,000 door opens a day, it's not going to last very long.
No, but your app will notify you. So if you start getting a low battery on one of those sensors, your app will just say, hey, low battery notification. And then you can just, run to the store, pick up one of the little button batteries and pop it in there.
Gotcha. Final question here on sensors before we move on to final thoughts to wrap this one up. What about noise, like a siren, like noises? Does the hub do that? What happens? Because like most alarm systems, isn't there like a siren that goes off when it's tripped?
The hub itself will go off. You can also add additional wireless sirens available, that they just plug in to an outlet somewhere within your property to also alarm. You can also set it to
so
mimic.
Loud.
They are. And you can have it mimic what the hub does, or you can just set it to just alarm, because by default, like if you open a door, this hub is going to go beep beep, to let you know that tripped for whatever reason, even if the system's not armed. But you can have it mimic that. Maybe a retail space where you might be working in the back might be a good idea, or something like that. Or you can just have it alert when the alarm goes off.
Gotcha.
Yeah, siren's 90 decibels, which is pretty loud. I'm not sure what that fit. I think that's like getting into over rock concert when you look at the decibel scale kind of stuff. You can have up to 8 of them, so that's really important. If you say you have your Shield hub, and my example is actually perfect. I have it here in this office. My front door is the furthest corner of my house, so I have to have a wireless siren right kind of in my front door area, so that way people can hear it as they break in. Otherwise, it won't be quite as disorienting, I guess, if somebody.
Awesome. That's great. That's quite the deep dive on sensors. So now we're going to jump into the final thoughts. We're going to tackle this last section. Going to go around the horn here and get everyone's final thoughts on the SCW Shield.
Yeah, I'll start. If somebody asks what our easiest to install product is, it's the Shield. You literally just have to peel, stick it, plug it in, and you're secure. Download the app, everything like that. Of course, there's some extra steps, but it's a very easy thing to install for your home. And in terms of like bang for your buck as well, you're going to get a lot of security for $25 a month for professional monitoring is a good deal. I mean, for what it brings you. So definitely highly recommend looking into it if you are worried about intrusions, break-ins. Give us a call. We'll also help you figure out the sensors if you need to as well.
Yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead.
Sorry. My thing was, it's an SCW product. You get SCW support with it, so you get lifetime support on this product. The hub and the sensors all have a 5-year warranty as well, so you're covered. So as far as the product goes and your support for it.
Yeah, and I would say that like it's like James said, it's the easiest thing that we have in order to implement. I think I'm not a super big fan of like putting cameras on the inside of my house. So this is one of our few products that's really like home safety focused. I like that about it. It's also super great for that sort of small business, the insurance company with 5 or fewer employees or somebody like that, that an access control system doesn't make sense for. And so it fits sort of that residential to small and medium business profile for us. It's so incredibly easy to do. And the nice thing about it being, because it's wireless, it's easy to do, but it also fits and checks all the boxes for commercial insurance that you probably have to comply with. And this is really different than, let's say, a lot of the DIY consumer alarm systems, which are not your insurance company is going to say, no, you can't do this, for all of those brands you probably are thinking about. And so this is one of the few products that ticks the boxes for commercial insurance, but it's also unbelievably easy to set up and put in yourself, and isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Don't they also have a program with your homeowners insurance that having an alarm system like this could lower your insurance there, the monthly cost on your homeowners insurance, not just commercial?
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. And we can
That might pay for itself.
Exactly. And we can supply those certificate of insurances if it's needed. Absolutely. And I'll just, finally say it's one of the best bangs for your buck in terms of low cost alternative to some of those bigger players in the market, right? The ADTs or CPIs that you might think of. You buy the equipment outright from SCW like everything. So you own it, and then you just pay that $24.99 a month monitoring fee. That's it. So very straightforward. Awesome. Well, that'll do it for this In the Trenches roundtable episode. Super excited to dive deep into all things sensors and professional monitoring for the SCW Shield system, our DIY alarm system here at SCW. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure to check out some of the description. Make sure to check out some of the links in the description below. I'll have some resources down there. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to SCW and all the major channels, and we'll be happy to help in any way. Thanks so much. Tune in next time.
Well, thanks for coming.